Welcome to the LandLife podcast with your host, PJ Riley.
Hey guys, welcome to the LandLife podcast. My name is PJ Riley. Guys, before we get started, don't forget, like, subscribe, leave 5 stars. We're on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube. So anywhere you watch podcasts or listen to podcasts, guys, leave us a review. Today, we got an awesome guest. He is a fellow member of Arate. It's the mastermind group that I'm part of. And his name is Rob Cressy, and he is AKA the positive force for good. He is basically a modern day superhero. So Rob, maybe you can kind of introduce yourself, let us know who you are, where you're from, where you're living at right now, and kind of how you progressed to this point in life.
PJ, thank you very much. I'm wearing a cape right now, so I will accept that I am a modern day superhero. I'm Rob Cressy. I'm from Pittsburgh originally. My dream was to move to Chicago. I lived there for 12 years and absolutely loved it. And in September, I moved to Sarasota, Florida to be closer to family because my wife just gave birth to our first child in November. So all of this was lifestyle by design. And at the top, you said, I'm a positive force for good. So for me, that is my purpose in life, to be a positive force for good that leads others to what's possible. So I'm someone who lives by design, not by default. And a lot of what we're about to talk about in our conversation is predicated around my mindset and the way that I see the world and create my best life and show up as the best version of myself every single day. My journey has evolved from not doing what I loved for 10 years, including getting paid well to do it, to going all in on myself and my dreams. And ultimately right now, I'm a coach that helps people on a growth path to help unlock freedom, learn about self-creation and creating a life you love.
Awesome, man. So let's unpack that. So you're a coach. Would you consider yourself like a lifestyle coach, positivity? How would you describe yourself as a coach?
I describe myself as a creating coach because I think of creating 2 different ways. So you have internal and external. So creating for me internally is your mindset, your personal growth and development, your habits, your routines, your heart sets. All right, what is your process for showing up as the best version of yourself every single day? How are you in control of your self-talk and the stories that you tell yourself? Because we all have a series of challenges, self-limiting beliefs, thoughts, fears, things that stop us from being happy, being fulfilled, unlocking our true potential. All right, well, I've specialized in this over the last 10 years because of my entrepreneurial journey. I went down to zero. There's nothing else around me. And I turned myself into the best version of myself until people said, Rob, will you show me how you're doing what you're doing? I'm like, all right. And that's how my coaching business was created. But the second part of this is external. And I like to think of this as what you want to create in your life. So for me, brand building, marketing, podcast, video, live streaming. I'm someone I'm a creative. That's why I went all into my dreams to be creative and live a life of time freedom, freedom of money, freedom of creativity, freedom of choice. And for me, there was something that somebody said to me once that was game changing. They said, Rob, if you ever hope to get paid to do what you love, you better be doing it already. My dream at the time was to get paid to talk about sports. So how in the world do you do that? I was like, all right, well, I should probably have a podcast. So I'm talking about sports. Now I've got a podcast. I should probably learn how to be a host and learn how to be on camera. That way I can do audio and video. And since I don't have much money at the time, I'm going to teach myself audio and video editing. And if I'm doing all these things, I might as well learn social media marketing, brand building, community building, throwing events, creating apparel. So I learned how to build a brand. And then I did that for 3 years, full-time, nonstop, in building and baking sports, creating thousands of articles, videos, podcasts, until all of a sudden the light bulb went off and it's like, wait a second, I can help brands who want to market to sports fans. How is that? Because I am the target demographic that they want to market to. who better to help someone market to sports fans than the sports fan who knows how to do all the things that you want to do? So boom, that's how the other part of my business got created with Bacon Sports. I built a sports content studio that helps brands market to sports fans.
Okay, so Bacon Sports, let's man, we're going so fast here. All right, Bacon Sports. What is Bacon Sports? Like, explain that to everybody, kind of what you guys do. I mean, I've seen some videos online. It looks really cool. So explain Bacon Sports and kind of like how people can see it, be involved in it.
So Bacon Sports is a sports content studio that helps brands market to sports fans. So you're like, how in the world do we market to sports fans? Well, there's a lot of different ways. It can be anything from the content that you create. So launching a podcast, so we can help a brand launch a podcast or a show. We can even be the hosts of the shows. That's one of the things that is also something that I'm hired for, is I'm also talent. I host a sports betting podcast. At the same time, we do brand strategy and help brands understand what is your brand voice. Because when you think about content creation and community building, the things that we specialize in, because that's what we did originally. We cut our teeth by building our own community so that we can show others, hey, this is how you do that. Well, why is that important? Because when I looked at the landscape, so much of the messaging was, one, homogenous. It was the same as everybody else does. Number two, it was self-serving. Buy what we're selling, buy what we're selling. And when you look at the landscape of media and content out there, you need to be fun, engaging, and have a personality and heartbeat. These are all things that traditionally a company or brand does not have if you're not doing it by design. Yeah. So we roll in there with a tool belt to say, listen, we can do pretty much everything. Now let's play choose your own adventure and see how we work with brands, whether we're activating digitally or we're throwing events or we're creating shows.
Okay, so you said acting with a heartbeat and basically being like an exciting, engaging organization, right? Give us some examples of how you guys are doing that at Bacon Sports right now.
So I always like to say, allow your brand heartbeat to shine. And for me, a lot of what I see as successful in community building and marketing is personality. So brand voice is so important. So a lot of brands will speak marketing language and it sounds like a robot, as opposed to the way you and I chop it up. And I'll give you an example, and this is the simplest tip in the world. Every single time I send an email, the first word that I put is the word hey, H-E-Y. Why? I'm like, hey, PJ, happy Monday. It's Rob Cressy. Why in the world do I do that? Because a robot doesn't use slang like hey. When people spam or mass mail, it's not, hey, PJ, what's going on, man? It's always very formal. So I like to set the tone immediately in the way things are going. And then boom, happy Monday. So, whoa, here comes some dude with some positive energy. So for me, that is the epitome of brand voice. So then what does it sound like online when your brand communicates? So what I like to do is do a very simple exercise. All right, let's write down 10 words about what your brand sounds like online. So it can be, we're inspiring, we are witty, but not crude. We can be self-deprecating. We can be entertaining. We can be attention to detail oriented. And all of a sudden, boom, you create this brand voice. And then you do that across all of your different platforms to build consistency. So for us, it's very formulaic, and a lot of people and brands just don't have the roadmap in terms of, one, how to be consistent, two, how to create content at volume, and three, how to use that to build a community, which ultimately becomes a backdoor for selling or engaging with whatever it is that you want to do.
So when you work with like a different company, are you going into like each individual company and making it specifically all their media, everything is specifically geared towards them? It's not like a cookie cutter type, sports is going to get this, comedy is going to get this. You guys are kind of like individual companies get individual attention.
Think of it as paint by numbers. So we can all be sitting there with the same Easter egg, but then everybody else gets to choose the colors that they're working with. So you say, listen, fundamentally, 85% of what I'm telling you right now is the same, whether it's sports, personal development, or you're selling taxes. It just is, because every brand needs a brand voice. All right, let's talk about it. every brand has a strategy per platform. Every brand should want to think about how do we build our community and what is our core values, and these things that are, no matter what you do, you're going to want to have it there. Then we roll in and we specialize with them. All right, let's build this for your world. So one area where we're seeing a ton of growth is in the sports betting landscape, because the sports landscape got really crushed during COVID. Games weren't going on. And it's interesting because the way that I got to building out my coaching business is because of COVID. Never in my life did I think that I would wake up one day and sports wouldn't exist.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa, did not see that blind spot in business. Of all the things that are a challenge or adversity in entrepreneurship, one day you wake up and they're like, March Madness, gone. Baseball, gone. Basketball, gone. And you're like, I built a business around engaging sports fans online and offline, and none of this exists. So that gave me the opportunity to say, all right, well, I hadn't currently marketed myself as a coach or somebody who helps with personal development, even though I'd been hired to do so, because people, the CEOs of companies, had seen how I get down and how I live my life. Hey, Rob, can you help my team be better at business by being better at life? Sure. I went ahead and created a 3-month program on how to easily do that for them, layered in some coaching calls. And just like that, my coaching business was built because I took what limited the rest of the world, oh my God, an industry is going away, and saw it as an opportunity for me to help the world. But the reason the world of sports betting got in here, despite the fact that I've been hosting a sports betting podcast for 2.5 years, that is one industry that has grown because of the legalization of sports betting across the United States. And it's not even to the point where it's going to be. And who better to help brands market to sports fans than, number one, a guy who understands the industry as good or better than anybody else. I'm the host of a sports betting show. And number two, I'm an entrepreneur of a sports content studio that helps brands market to sports fans. What exactly do sports betting companies want right now? We want user acquisition, we want better content, and we want more people part of our community so that ultimately they sign up for our sports books and they spend money with us. Well, guess what? This is an opportunity for me now with all the new entrants into the market, international money, major casinos and conglomerates, for me to help bridge that gap between sports fans and brands.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And one thing I wanted to point out too, guys, if you're listening to this, you put yourself in a position where you can shift businesses, where like nobody thought the NBA, basketball, NCAA tournament would just be done. Nobody thought sports would just be over with just like that. Now, if the NBA, the NFL, all these sports organizations can shut down just like that, your business can too, no matter what industry you're in. If something bigger takes over, it's going to happen. So the ability to pivot and shift your focus a little bit is huge in the business world. So I want to kind of focus a little bit on coaching as well. So you're a coach, like, so let's say I'm a guy that's like, you know what? I love what Rob says. I want to change my life too. So I'm just not sure where to start. What would it look like to jump in and start coaching with you? Like, I'm on day one. I'm like, all right, let's go. What do we do? What does it look like?
So number one is commitment, because one of the quotes that I often use when I teach podcasting is, are you interested or are you committed? I only work with people who are on the growth path, who are committed to making themselves better. Because boom, if we both bring that commitment level, the sky is the limit for what it is that we want to create. So I'll even take you through a very simple call and how it starts with me. So I'll be like, hey, PJ, what would you love to create today? We start with this question. So what would you love to create today?
I'd love to create, let's see, a financially fruitful day where I make a lot of money and sell a lot of land. That's what I do.
Okay.
Buy and sell land.
So let's design that. What does a financially fruitful day look like for you?
Freedom. So it'd be freedom, being able to wake up and have all day to do whatever I wanted to do.
What is stopping you from doing that right now?
Well, currently, I have financial or family commitments. We have kids soccer. We have, got to take care of the yard. Got to have the yard taken care of. Got to have that nice and cleaned up. Let's see. Yeah, got to pay bills. Got to go get gas in the car. That's why I can't just hang out all day by myself or on my own.
So the first thing that you'd mentioned to me is you're going to wake up and you're going to start doing this. So what time are you currently waking up?
Around 5 o'clock to hit the gym.
And what does your morning routine look like?
So for me personally, it's wake up, hit the gym, get a protein shake in me, and then get started on working.
So what do you do to create the narrative in your head and your self-talk to align yourself to the vision of what it is you want to create?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I keep a lot of positive stuff in my iPod, in my phone. I'm listening to all the, positive talk, podcasts, music, everything that keeps me in a positive mindset that it's going to allow me to keep moving forward.
And what is the biggest challenge you think you're facing right now?
Time. Absolutely time. There's just not enough time in a day to get things accomplished. So that'd probably be my biggest issue right now.
What if I told you that time is just an excuse?
I'd believe you.
So why do you feel like you don't have enough time?
Why do I feel like I don't have enough time? I would say because, I honestly don't have an answer for that. I don't know. It's just the end of the day comes and I still have things to do.
Okay, well, cool. Well, here's the good news is that we can work on your relationship to time, because for me, this is one of the biggest game changers in my entire life when I gave myself this gift. Because here's the thing with time, and there's going to be several ways that we can look at this. Number one, you are born and then you die. In between there is an infinite amount of time that, sure, we've got clocks and calendars and things like that, but those are just constructs that have been created to help us sort of organize a day, right?
Sure.
But could you sit somewhere and see the perspective that actually you have all of the time in the world, you're just choosing to use it in a specific way?
Well, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. You have to sleep at certain times, eat certain times. You're feeling, and then work is, I guess, the remainder of the time that's available.
Okay. So one quick thing there. I always listen to your language. So have to versus get to, because this is a thing I would like you to shift on, is you get to do all of these things. So what I encourage you to do is to start living by design. So it'd be like, all right, PJ, what does your perfect day look like? If you said, I can do anything in the world that I want today as it aligns to my vision, what does that look like?
Yeah, it would be wake up, hit the gym, come back, work for a bit, have lunch with the wife, pick up the kids from school, go to their sporting events, and then hang out with the whole family towards the end of the day. And that'd be a nice solid day. And then that, we're not counting in vacations. I'm counting a run-of-the-mill regular day.
Regular run-of-the-mill day.
Yeah.
So how much of that is currently designed in your current day?
It's a decent amount of it is currently in there. A decent amount of it. I do go to the gym. If I wanted to, I could have lunch with the wife. After school activities, I do typically hit most of those. We don't spend a ton of time together afterwards. Otherwise, that's the vast, a lot of it is possible. Yes.
So for the things that you are not currently doing, why is that? I know. So we've identified it's time, but we also identified that time's not really the excuse, because it's just masquerading as the I don't have enough time, because you get to choose all of the time that you have in the world.
Sure.
So with the most important things, like, have you written down your vision of what it is that you would love to create, what your perfect day looks like, where you can give this to me on a piece of paper?
As far as a perfect day, no, not at all. No, I definitely have goals written down, long-term goals. Those are written down every single day. But as far as a specific day, no, not at all.
Because as it relates to making progress on this dream and vision that you have, how are you designing that into your day? Even though we have sleep, we have work, we have eating, how are you designing this vision you have in your day?
Yeah. So, it's every day. It's just work. You have to wake up and I knock out as much work to hit financial goals as possible. That would be the thing I focus on almost the entire time.
Have to or get to?
Get to. I am allowed to wake up and knock out all those, financial goals and get those things done.
So what this is sort of an example of how I walk you through this stuff. And awesome. we can keep going on in this, but what my goal in the coaching side of things is to try and start uncovering where these obstacles, challenges, and self-limiting beliefs are. So boom, your relationship to time and the way that you see the way that you can create within it. Yes, you've got work. Yes, you've got these other things, but I want to see the structure. I want to see the blueprint. I want to see the roadmap for how you create yourself. 1 is the best version of yourself. 2, how you're aligned to your vision. And 3, how you're making progress on that vision every single day, even if you are doing something with another job, because that does not mean you can't do it. And more importantly, I don't want to see any difference between work PJ and personal PJ, because at the end of the day, your life is your life, time is time. So you get to choose how you're going to spend all of this and design it to create whatever it is that you want.
I like it, man. This is great. So guys, if you're listening to this, he's already given you a bunch of nuggets there, a bunch of things you can implement right now. I don't want to say don't call Rob. Obviously you want to call him to get the actual coaching, but these are some really good nuggets here. So, hey, Rob, so when people do call you though, is this going to be an in-person thing? Are we going to do it over Zoom? Is it, online? How does this work physically?
So online, and it's exactly what we just went through. So it's like, hey, PJ, what would you love to create? Where are you challenged to take action right now? What is present for you? Boom. And this can be about personal growth, development, your vision, what it is that you want to create, because I'm a champion for you. So for me, a current client and a not yet client, my conversation is the exact same thing, because no matter what I do, I coach. I sit there and I'm actively listening to your words. That's why I picked up twice, have to versus get to. Well, why? Because this is a wiring in our brain. So the more that we get to do everything, we have a get-to-do list, not a to-do list. All right. And it's a series of these little micro tweaks, the inches in your brain, to where you're now designing your best day ever and what you would love to create every single day by following a roadmap of how you can do that for yourself that, oh, by the way, you get to design.
Okay. So let's say I hear a lot of, you're familiar with The Secret, correct?
Yes.
I hear that a lot. So I hear a lot of speaking things into existence versus, that's kind of the goal of certain people, speaking things into existence. I always think though that, that's okay, assuming there's action as well. Correct? Where do you see yourself kind of in that whole picture? Because I do see that kind of a lot online, a lot of just keep saying it over and over again, it's going to work, versus you gotta have to actually go out and do something to make it happen.
All right. I love this topic because I am an expert at this, because there's a difference between an affirmation and a declaration. And what I hear you saying about The Secret and people speaking things into existence oftentimes is seen as an affirmation. It's certainly not bad, because you're not just consuming crap. You're putting things out into the world that are positive, that I want to be a millionaire, or these things are going to happen to me. But the challenge in all of this is oftentimes an affirmation is a future state, as if you want to get somewhere, right? Mm-hmm. Like, oh, I want to be a millionaire.
Yeah.
So a lot of times people don't believe it, and it's a future state. What I believe in and I coach on and I create is around declarations. And a declaration is a powerful story that declares and creates who you are. So imagine yourself standing on top of a mountain and saying, I am abundantly generous. Boom. You feel into that. And you said the word action, but I think the word action is a misplace in that one. The real answer is energy and emotion. So when I say I am abundantly generous, and the reason I was asking you about what do you do every single morning to create the story in your head, and you say, I listen to these things and I got some positive stuff there. Because for me to show up as the best version of myself, I have a menu of declarations that I speak out loud every single day that creates who I am. One of them being, I am abundantly generous. And I close my eyes and I think about the tip that I gave to the person at the pizza parlor last week and how I went above and beyond on that, because that proves and creates who I am as a generous person. And I feel that emotion and boom, I lock that in. And I've got a series of declarations that create the most powerful version of myself. So for example, PJ, another one is, I am a force of attraction. And there's an emoji of a diamond after that. And I sit there, and anytime something amazing happens in my life, I attracted it and created that in my life. And I feel that. And every single morning I speak these out loud. And why in the world do I do this? Because the story in my head when I wake up in the morning, it is boom, I'm abundantly generous. I'm a force of attraction. I am infinite love. I'm constant creation of who I am. I am an overachiever. And the thing is, I am this now. This isn't a future state. It's not, ooh, maybe Rob's going to be this. No, I know this to be my highest truth. Yeah. This is powerful. This is emotional. And I collect evidence in the world every single day that I am this. So when the news and social media and email and TV and Netflix and Slack all want to try and vie for your attention and put their agenda down your brain, you know what's sitting in my brain? I am an infinite love. And boom, I've already told myself this story. Because why is this? Because the road of entrepreneurship looks like a roller coaster and it's not linear. I know by design, I need to specialize in overcoming adversity and getting comfortable being uncomfortable. And the best way that I can do that is by having a menu and a roadmap that I speak out loud every single day that creates the best version of who I am right this moment. And I'm going to do that tomorrow and the next day and the next day, because I know this creates the best version of me.
Dude, you're super passionate about all this stuff. I like that, man. You can definitely tell you actually feel what you're saying, and it's not just bullshit, honestly. Now, that being said, we have a person. They were part of this. They were like, man, I really believe this. I really want to do this. And maybe somehow things start to fade away. They start to not do so well in their business and they're ready to quit. How do you talk a guy? How do you bring them back into the fold when they were just thinking about, man, maybe this isn't working. Maybe my job wasn't that bad. Maybe it was kind of okay. You know, I had steady hours. Maybe I'll just go back to that life. Maybe I won't follow Rob anymore.
Candidly, and I wouldn't be saying this exactly, that's loser talk and loser thinking. Yeah. Because what I see that, and yes, that's completely normal. I get it. I lived that life for more than a decade, but all that is the story you're telling yourself. And that is a choice. So why in the world do I speak out loud? I am infinite love, because you know who is included in that? Myself, in my own self-love, in my ability to create love in myself. So all I heard when you were saying that were self-limiting beliefs and stories that somebody is telling themselves. What they don't have is the most powerful version of themselves. So what I would actually do in that instance is, boom, we would go ahead and talk about those fears, judgments, and self-limiting beliefs. And speaking those in a coaching conversation, amazing. And when I say that's loser talk, it's because I identify that because it's not serving you. That is not serving you. And all of this is so simple. So when I started the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey, I asked myself one question: what will help me accomplish my goals faster? Positivity or negativity? Positivity, of course. Negativity is going to take you further away from where you want to go, right? Therefore, negativity has no place in my life. This is a 1 or a 0. Goodbye, negativity. Yeah. Well, think about everything that you just said to me out loud that the person's thinking. Yeah. Which story is that? The positive story or the negative story? It's the negative story. So to get them back to where they want to go, the powerful version of themselves, number one, I would like you to see your innocence in this and forgive yourself for judging yourself that you are not enough. So PJ, is there a place you can stand where you can say, you know what? I can forgive myself for having these thoughts of not feeling enough and not feeling lack. Can you get there and say, you know what? I am judging myself right now and I can forgive myself for it. Can you see that?
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So great. Because the truth is, and now this is where we put in the most powerful version of yourself. Because the truth is, I am amazing because I wake up at 5 a.m. and I go to the gym every single day. So I put my health as my first priority. So I know what it takes to be somebody who's an overachiever and kick ass. And of course, I'm just rolling with something like that.
Sure.
But look how quickly that narrative has shifted. Which story are we telling ourselves? So boom, my goal as the coach is to get you on the story that's going to serve you. And then we're going to do that every single day. And we're going to do that for every single judgment you have in your life. And we're going to turn pain into power.
Awesome. How often are you talking to these your clients? So let's let you, is it a weekly thing? Are we talking every month? How often are they getting this type of information, positive, not affirmations, but positivity? How often are they getting this?
Well, one, daily via virtually everything that I create online. Two, I created a digital platform called I Am Great, which is a personal growth program that helps people create the freedom, self-creation, and the life they love. So what I did is I reverse engineered my entire process, put it into a bunch of short form videos over a course of 8 weeks that I drip to people that say, hey, you want to transform your life and live your best life? Here's the roadmap for how you can do it. And you are the architect. I'm going to show you some things that you can do. You get to create the things that serve you. So boom, we've got that. And then I have two options. One, I've got a group coaching program. Hey, once a week on Tuesdays at 1 p.m., we have the opportunity to be in conversation. Or number two, I've got one-on-one coaching clients who have conversations like this weekly.
Cool. So you said you have, you left your job initially for your own dreams. What are your dreams? You're coaching everybody else, to help them with theirs. What would be specifically yours? What's the overall big picture here for you?
So the picture goes to my purpose in life being a positive force for good that leads others to what's possible. But I know what you really want. What are my dreams and goals? And guess what? These are always going to change and get bigger. One of them, speak on stage at a sold out arena. Another one, I want to retire my wife. I don't want her to ever have to work again. And doing this allows me to have my anchor for every single day. Speak on stage at a sold out arena, and I want to retire my wife. All right. What are the actions that I can be taking every single day that contribute to that? That's how I design my life.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. Getting your wife out of work. That's huge. I know a lot of us guys, especially sports-minded, sports-related guys, really feel like that's a huge thing for them. I know I feel the same way as you do with that, though. All right, man. I think we got a lot of good information here. We got a ton of things, ton of nuggets that people can take with them. Rob, if anybody wanted to get hold of you, they want to find out. All right, he's talked. Everything he said, I resonate with. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to learn, everything he can teach. Where do they go? Where do they find you?
You can go to robcressy.com/coaching. I've got a ton of resources on the website there. You can follow me on Instagram or LinkedIn at Rob Cressy. And I also have a podcast where I'm dropping content on a regular basis called Best Year Ever. Crazy concept. How do you create your best year ever? you create your best month ever, week ever, day ever, moment ever. So it's best year ever. You can listen to it everywhere.
That's awesome. Rob, we got one question we got to ask you before you leave here. Every single person gets this question. It has nothing to do with what you've been talking about, but it does have to do with what we do. So my business, I buy and sell vacant land. Buy vacant land all over the country. So my question to you is, if you could own vacant land anywhere in the country, you can build on it, do whatever you want. Anywhere in the entire world, where would it be and why?
So if I could build land anywhere in the world, what I wrote down was Augusta, Georgia, because tomorrow is the start of the Masters. And I've never been to the Masters. And it's something that I look forward to putting on my life resume. And it is a place that, even though I've never been there, there's an energy and a calmness and a stillness to it.
That's awesome.
And I know very little about Augusta, Georgia, but I do also know this in terms of real estate, that people are moving from the north down to the south. I was one of them, moving from Chicago down to Florida. So by design, real estate in Augusta, Georgia, which I'm guessing there's not a lot of, even though there's probably a lot of high net worth individuals there, boom, get me something there to where I could then create experiences around the Masters, first for myself, as well as you, PJ, and then anybody who's a part of my community.
Absolutely. That's awesome, man. You're the first person who mentioned anything even remotely like that. Usually it's islands, some, New York City, something to that effect. All right, guys. Rob Cressy, the positive force for good. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you coming on. You got anything else you want to say before we wrap up?
No, PJ, I appreciate you having me on, and shout out to Steve Atwater.
Steve Atwater. He signed it too. That's a real signature. I'll try to wipe it off to see if it's real. All right, guys. LandLife podcast. See you next time. Thanks a lot.